We interrupt your regularly scheduled Thursday night race cars for more race cars, sim racing cars that are real racing cars. There's race cars outside the trailer. There's race cars on the screen. There's race cars in the game. Aaron, there's race cars all over the place, brother. How we doing?
Well, there's race trucks here in Michigan, and we're
A
doing
dollar in
pretty
the jar. I don't
good.
even have a dollar to put in the jar
That's
anymore.
a lot of dollars that you just had to put in the jar. But yeah, we see they're all gridded and are ready to go here for 66 laps of racing at Michigan International Speedway. Um, it's going to be a good one. This is the first time that NEP has actually raced at Michigan. So in the Grand National Series, we've had a Super Truck Team Series race in 2021. But, in this format on Thursday night, this is all new for these guys when it comes to racing on this 2 mile oval.
Indeed, it is going to be a lot of fun here tonight. Four wide weaponry jumping on board here tonight with the sponsorship deal here tonight. And we're going to see 4 wide, 5 wide, 6 wide here at Michigan. It's going to be crazy for sure. We'll take a look how they lined up. Evan Bowler going to get the pole there in the 56 truck. How about Mike Hopkins in the 78? He's going to start outside row number 1.
Yeah, how about that? And Zane Farrell looked pretty anxious to get going there as we were rolling off the grid. He'll start in third, and there's Stephen Daddio going to drive that number 99 in fourth spot. Row number 3, Jeffrey Bradway, and welcome back Dale Glessner in the number 10.
Rolling on to the second 12-pack, Bobby Ship and Dan Winter going to roll off row number 4. Kenny Kitty Corey Casagrande going to round out the top 10. And the Tundra Kid here in the Truck Series, Brent Roy going to roll off P11 with Austin Belkey on his outside.
And we're going even deeper in the field. There's our Sal's had a lot of great runs. Starting 13th, Colby Burkholder. We've been talking about him a little bit more in these last few races. Reggie Parent starting back in 15th. Jared Adams. John Peters way back in 17th. He's back after a week off. And there's Johnny Miller in 18th.
Big field here this evening. Scott McDonald going to roll off 19th. Jeffrey Brown on his outside. Eric Kern, Adam Henry, Joey Dwyer, and Brandon Uhouse after a big wreck in qualifying. He's going to roll off P24.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Uhouse can do from the back of the field. He was off last week as well. And Cody LeBlanc, Brian Ship round out the field, and we're getting ready to go to green.
Indeed, we are. Pace truck down on the safety of pit road for the first time. There's the green flag here at the Michigan International Speedway. The 4 wide weaponry 66 is green.
And we're heading into turn 1, and we're already going 3 wide there. Field fanning out here in the multiple grooves that Michigan International Speedway offers. Evan Boyer breaking out into the early lead as they head on down to the backstretch. But we're going to have to see if there's going to be some tire conservation. Wow, trying out different lines already, seeing what might work as Zane Farrell reels in on that 56 of Evan Boyer.
You can already see there's a lot of different lines shaping up here on lap number 166 to go there on the docket. And then we're going to give that first one to Evan Boyer in that 56 truck. Got to keep in mind with him qualifying up on the pole, that means he's going to have that pit stall numero uno, the first one off pit road, rather. So that's going to be big here in the goings of this one. Keep in mind as we go a little 3 wide action, reigning defending series champion Steve Daddio in the 99 truck going to move on down to the bottom side, take over that lead, and he's going to keep on at it. But you can see Mike Hopkins having himself a solid run down to the bottom side. That 78 truck looking mighty strong.
Yeah, competitors jostling their ways from not mid-pack, but 5th or 6th to the front pretty easily here at Michigan. And Mike Hopkins trying to get to that lead. I don't think he's led many laps this season, if any. I got to get back to my stats. But right now, we see that, and we got trouble, though. He's not going to lead today, if that's any indication. We got an immediate yellow flag after that mishap. And we weren't sure if we were going to see many yellow flags and what that was going to set up when it comes to pit strategy. But here we have an early one.
Dale Glessner off the pace in the number 10 truck. And one of the things being on the road here for as long as I have, Aaron, you and I were talking before we came on the air, I still haven't been home yet to pick up that dang button box to do the replays. And you'd think I'd figure it out by now. Nope, sure didn't. So don't have a replay for that one. The 10 truck going to limp it around, try and catch up to the back of the tail end there. You can see he's got a little bit of damage there on the right front quarter panel. And you'll see he'll probably come down pit road, get some of that virtual sheet metal fixed up, dinged back up, and get back on out there. We did note there on Ryan Salvatore's RSal TV's notes, they've got 3 sets of tires to use here in 66 laps here at Michigan. So you may not need them on a fuel run. You can get about 28, maybe 30 laps here on a full tank of fuel or on a 3/4 tank of fuel as we run here in the NEP SuperTrucks series. But you have that extra set of tires. They did a little bit of practice last week, and they were back and forth whether or not they wanted to do 2, 3 tires. And Sal made a good point. If we end up going green, you're not going to have time to come down and get that extra set of tires. So they've got them down on pit road if they need them. And right now, I don't think we're going to see too many takers here early on. You'll probably see the 78 truck come down pit road. There you can see down and away. Zane Farrell down and away there as well. But everybody else looks like they're going to stay out.
Yeah, and I did look it up, so you don't have to. Mike Hopkins, unfortunately, has not led any laps this season, and he came close to it that time, but he's going to have to come from the back of the field to do so in this race now. Kind of resetting things up front, we see Stephen Daddio out front, Evan Boyer second. Third place is the 13 of Jeffrey Bradway. I'm trying to remember, is that a new scheme he's got there going on? I know he's run a couple different ones this season. As there you see him riding in third. Kenny Kibbe in his home state race, rounding out the top 5 currently. Look at that little bit of damage. That's not really a little bit, is it, Paul, on Steve Daddio's truck on that left front there. So we'll have to see what that... if that has any impact when we go back to green.
Yeah, you got to keep it in mind. It's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. Yeah.
We'll blame that on the decal guy this week, I think.
I've never seen it like that, though, when we've zoomed in on it there. But I don't know. It really looks to me that there's a little bit of damage there in that left front, but could be wrong. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it does kind of look pretty symmetrical there with the right front, so maybe I'm completely wrong in just seeing things tonight. But Stephen Daddio is going to give it a good run regardless here when we get ready to go back to green, which should be the next time by. We'll see if they double up here at the stripe, and it looks like that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I talked to Ryan Salvatore early on before we came on air just briefly. These drivers get 2 drop weeks each throughout the season. So they're basically their 2 worst races don't count. Steve Daddio's worst race that doesn't count is 8th place. So we got that worked into the points. Currently, with those drop weeks factored in, John Peters is in front with the point standings. He's got a 2-point lead over Steve Daddio. Then it's 15 points on back to Kenny Kibbe, Brent Roy 49 points back, and Evan Bollier 58 points back. So still 3 races to go after this one, and we still have to get through this race as well. A lot of laps to be turned, but it's getting down to the end of it, and it's crazy to see that John Peters and Steve Daddio, both reigning defending series champions here in NEP, they're still in the thick of it.
Yeah, and I apologize because last week I think I mentioned that I miscalculated and mentioned that they only get 1 drop, but it's actually 2 drops. And we were talking about points implications last week, and it actually didn't end up when it was all figured out at the end of the night. Peters still had the point lead despite missing last week's with those drops factored in. So it's still his points race to lose, but there's not any room for error for John Peters. If he finishes, and it might not even be when it comes down to him having a good finish. Like if Stephen Daddio has a DNF, then his 8th place finish benefit gets factored in then. So there's a lot that can still be settled. Pace Truck's going to pull down onto pit road though, and we're going to have our start of the night.
Re-racked, restacked 2x2 all the way through. Steve Daddio, Evan Bollier are going to restart up on the front row. Jeff Bradway with a great start there, as well as Dan Winter in the 81 truck. And you can see the front 5 or 6. They start to kind of fan out just a little bit, and you can already see as they head into 1, you can see all the different lines that these guys are going to be able to utilize on either end of the racetrack. So this is going to be a lot of fun, especially once these tires start to get a little bit of heat in them.
Yeah, and how about Dan Winter there on that outside, breaking into the top five for the time being in the Window World 81, and he's kind of our wild card of the night. Career best eighth place on speedways this year at Las Vegas. He's had some very good runs this. But he has a career speedway average finish of 16.8. He's trying to boost that a bit. Meanwhile, Stephen Daddy is trying to boost that advantage that he has up front, but these guys aren't letting him get away. Evan Boyer, Jeffrey Bradway, and Kenny Kibbe all right there.
And you can see everybody trying to utilize, at least up in the top 5, top 6 or so, try to utilize that top side to see if they can get that momentum around the racetrack and try to be a little bit less abrasive on these tires, because you do have that extra set down on pit road, but you don't want to use it if you don't really need it. There you see John Peters holding on to the back of this lead pack here, and that in itself was one of RSal TV's notes for the race. You do not want to lose the draft pack here in this one. You can see Corey Casagrande kind of stuck on the bottom side as they parade around the top side with a quick time there for Kenny Kibbe, 39.619. You definitely don't want to lose that main draft pack, because once you start to lose that time on the racetrack, you get into pit stops, you kind of lose your momentum at that point. Really hard to make it back up, especially if this thing goes green.
And there you see a couple of the four-wide weaponry teammates, Austin Belke and Ryan Salvatore. Half of that team calls Michigan home, Belke and Kibbe. So definitely both of them trying to have a fine run in front of the hometown crowd. Not necessarily hometown, but home state crowd, and see if they can get the job done here. And right now they're doing a pretty good job. Belke kind of hanging in there. Arsal doing his thing to help them along. We see a truck run on the inside. That's Mike Hopkins, kind of on the struggle bus for the time being. I believe he's lost a couple laps. So tough night for the 78. But meanwhile, Corey Casagrande giving those teammates a run for their money. But up front, Kenny Kibbe has moved into second spot, and he's battling Steve Daddio. And I do stand corrected. That's definitely the paint scheme, the look of that Chevy Silverado on the front of that 99. That's just kind of making it look pretty, I guess you could say badass, because it kind of looks that the way that white sticks out on the front, kind of looks like he's got a chrome horn, doesn't it?
That it does, yeah. It adds a little bit of texture to it, I think. And well, you know what, I can say, I think it's okay for us to say badass, because I'm inside the actual production trailer, and we like to joke, right? We like to joke that, oh yeah, we're inside the production. I'm actually inside the Pit Road TV production trailer that's parked at Clarksville Speedway here in Clarksville, Tennessee, and they're practicing dirt late models right now. I can barely hear myself talk through the noise canceling headset while calling an iRacing race. This is badass.
When you asked me if I could hear any race cars in the background, I thought you were asking me about the stream here that we have going, and I can faintly hear it as usual. But no, you were talking about the real deal, and unfortunately, I cannot hear that. You might have to hold your mic up to your headset up to outside here before the night's over, but so I can get a little. It's still going to be a little over a week until I see some actual race cars on the track. So I'm kind of itching for it, but this gets us through it here. These last few weeks, I think we're at the fourth to last race now, or third to last, I guess you could say. 4 more races to go, including this one, for this 2024-25 NEP season, and the cream is rose to the top for the time being. Stephen Daddio and Kenny Kibbe battling it out as we've kind of gone single file most of the
drivers just kind of biding their time just a little bit. Got to apologize to anybody out there listening. You might notice I'm a little bit hoarse. I'm not quite on my game. Last Monday night, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina with Tim Terry. We went to Monday Night Raw, did a lot of hooting and hollering, way more than I should have. And then I've actually got some really bad allergies in the month of February. Doesn't make any kind of sense to me, so riding the struggle bus myself here just a little bit. Kenny Kibbe taking a peek down on the bottom side. He decides to tuck it back into the tire tracks of the 99 at Daddio, but been a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on. Haven't been home since I think January 30th is when I finally left. So that's just on the road chasing these race cars, yelling as loud as I can. Kenny Gibby going to take a shot down to the bottom side once again. He's got a little bit of momentum. I don't think he got him that time. He may be able to get him here in 1 and 2.
Yeah, looks like he's going to try for it. And Paul, since you've been spending this time in sunny Florida, I think that's the reason for the allergies. They're just thinking it's springtime already.
Well, I don't know if I'd say if my body thinks it's springtime, if I'm allergic to palm trees. I don't know.
But we'll have to see how this continues to shake out. We've actually gotten, I'm trying to count on my abacus here. We've gotten 14 laps in here of this race, and I know that during practice, I saw a couple comments that some of these guys might be screaming for new tires after about 10 laps under green. So that's how rough this course can be. Course. We're on an oval. Don't call that a course. That's for the wine and cheese folks, right? And we're done with that road racing this. But right now, we see that the Kenny Kibbe continuing to do his thing. Steven Daddio, Jeffrey Bradway, right tucked up there in the third spot. We've seen some good runs by him this season, and he's going to try to finish a deal here too. But Evan Boyer's still right there. Dan Winter still running fifth, and don't look now. Here come Brent Roy and John Peters.
You see Bradway going to jump down to the bottom side, see if he can make a little magic happen. You can almost see, like, everybody's kind of stuck. I don't want to say stuck up on the high side, but they're utilizing that high side unless they want to pass. I've noticed the drivers will kind of drop down to that bottom side as we ride on board with Evan Bollier in the 56 truck. He's going to close right up onto the back bumper of the 13. He's going to take a peek down low. Nothing quite there. Going to tuck back into the tire tracks, but drivers able to really utilize that bottom side of the racetrack to pass here at Michigan International Speedway, but they seem to like to be up on that high side to kind of cruise just a little bit. There's Brent Roy in that 26 truck trying to get the flow up on the high side. There you see a little evasive maneuver there from the 17 of Reggie Parent. He gets himself into the top 10. He's holding on to that 7th spot. Dan Winter, Corey Casagrande, Austin Belke up in the mix as well. And you can see Belke just barely holding on to that lead draft right now.
Yeah, currently tagging the back, and he's going to try to keep hanging on here and continue his solid top 10 run as we see a little further in the back of the field. Joey Dwyron's starting to slowly make his way up in the 73. He was our winner last time winner now in the NEP. And that 73 is going to try to move his way back up to the field. There you see Eric Kern. He's had a bit of a up and down rookie season in NEP, but he's riding out there having a good run in that West Virginia number 21 for today. As we continue to ride with some of these other competitors, there's Bobby Shipp, had a great top 10 qualifying run, and he's going to try to get his way back towards the front. There you see the 29 of Colby Burkholder. We see Cody LeBlanc as well. But Burkholder, that 29, it kind of reminds me of based truck from back in the day. It was the Keselowskis used to run the number 29. They called Michigan home until Brad moved to North Carolina, obviously. But Bob Keselowski was a champion ARCA driver in the number 29 back in the day, and then ran the truck series with that number 29. But Colby Burkholder with a similar styled truck as well, kind of brings some attention to some of those Michiganders. Michiganders, is it Michiganders or Michigander?
Yeah. I don't know. I'll say yes. Yeah, definitely one of the two. 20 laps into this one, and you heard these drivers kind of talk before the race in that final practice session. There you can see a good shot of the two kind of distinct packs here in this one. Saving tires is going to be big in this one. Yes, you do have that extra set of tires, but to Arcel's point, you may not have time to come down. Ooh, Bradway up into the wall just a little bit. He's going to tag that outside wall and correct himself, get tucked back in line. No harm, no foul, as it looks like. Daddio now going to take a peek for the lead and see if he can get around that 4 truck of Kenny Kibbe.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I'm kind of surprised to see a lot of battling kind of picking up here as Brent Roy has really moved his way towards the front. Maybe it's that whole saving the tires strategy. Maybe him and Peters have been able to do that a little better by riding in the middle of the pack. Corey Casagrande trying to find any way by John Peters as well in that number 7 CT. And we're going to see a couple of these competitors on the real racetrack soon. I believe Corey's one of them. He's getting ready for Hickory in a couple weeks. I hope to be there for at least one of the two evenings that they'll be racing at that historic track. So yeah, we're going to see some of these competitors on the real racetrack very soon. But right now, some of these guys trying to finish out the NEP season with some strong runs and maybe a championship.
3 races to go after this one. It's hard to believe we've gotten 20 races in already. Couple of trucks out into the outside wall, giving it just a little bit of a scrapey scrape. And Hickory's one of those tracks I'd like to get out to and see some cars on track this season. Last year, I did make it to the property, and I connected to the Wi-Fi, so it made it to my little racetrack map. But I would definitely like to see some racing out there, and it would be cool to see some of the NEP regulars out on track as well. That's been one of the cool things for me, and Aaron, you can attest to it as well. Going out to all these real short track races and bumping into people from the sim racing world, whether it's the NEP series or the RBR series. Just last week was hanging out with Tim Terry and Caden Tufts. He runs a lot of Tim's Corner Motorsports stuff, and he runs in the RBR Maritime Group Series as well. He and I got to hang out. We both became dirt fans when we hung out at Volusia last week. It was pretty cool to kind of sit down and see a completely different beast and just have these giant mud chunks get chucked at you from these super dirt late model animals of machines. It was a lot of fun to kind of sit down and just witness it in person.
Oh yeah, it's wild. And then whether you're on dirt or pavement, just going to see it in person is always the thing. And we'll mention Corey's going to be at Hickory in a couple weeks, and there's a couple others. Joey Dwyron's already pre-entered for the Hickory races, and I believe Spencer Davis will be. And if Spencer's there, that probably means that we'll see Keith Lord, who's off tonight from NEP. But I'm sure we'll see some of those folks out and about, whether they're in a race car or just kind of hanging out supporting one of the efforts. So right now, though, on the track, continue with this green flag run. No takers on pit road just yet. It's going to be interesting to see when they decide to come in. If anyone's going to try to make it on one stop, really pushing it. But yeah, right now we're more than 20 laps in now at this point, almost 25 laps in, and have not seen any green flag pit stops.
They should be coming up here any lap now. The notes we got from RSAL TV, they can make it about 28, maybe 29:30, depending on how hard you wanted the stretch. And this is usually a telltale sign of when drivers are getting ready to make those green flag pit stops. They kind of line up on the back straightaway, but again, as I say that, they fan themselves out and find themselves different lines to run. So they're going to go by one more time at the very least and see how far they can press it. You can see Barney in the black flag stand looking on there in or on the start finish line rather. And there's again another great shot of the two, almost 3 distinct packs here throughout the pack. It looks like we've still got 22, 21 trucks on the lead lap.
Yeah, and a very sketchy run there for Brent Roy there off the corner. Gets very loose, almost collides with another truck, but he's able to recover and is actually still running in second for the time being. And but we've seen this at Michigan for years, even in like the Cups. Well, the Cup Series still races there, but I'm talking about your 1990s Cup days, seeing the photo finish when Dale Jarrett got his first Cup win. I mean, they'd fan out even back then. They had its share of maybe, I guess you could say, mundane races, but I mean that happens when you have a 200 lap race. That's what's cool about NEP. We got these kind of dashes, I guess you could call it, 66 lap feature. It's still a pretty lengthy amount of laps for sure, but these guys got to be on it pretty much from the get-go.
And speaking of Brent Roy and speaking of on the go, the Speedway 660 schedule just dropped last night. That was on Tim's Corner Motorsports, TCM Live. I believe all of the racetracks now up in Canada have released their schedules. They might be waiting on one or two, But it's pretty cool to see our friends up north getting ready to rock and roll. Once I let ice and snow melts, as you can see the 56 truck coming off pit road. A handful of drivers now coming down pit road for the very first time. Corey Casagrande down there. Oh, the white truck back there missed, had to back up just a little bit. Not quite sure who that is. But there you see Joey Dwyer down on pit road. Austin Belkey there as well. A couple of other trucks. I believe that's Keith Lord all the way in back. And there you see it. 4 fresh tires for everybody involved here. Still can't quite tell who that white truck is.
Yeah, you're gonna need 4 fuel goods right here when we talk about Michigan International Speedway. That looks like it's Reggie Parent in that 17, following Corey Casgrande off of pit road, and Jeffrey Bradway leading the show right now. As there you see him, I don't believe he has pitted just yet. So we'll see how this all shakes out. But more trucks coming down pit road. There's Jared Allen, 43, making his pit stop. Brent Roy getting some 4 new fuel goods. Kenny Kibbe as well. So competitors choosing different laps to come down pit road. So we're going to see how this all shakes out once it all cycles through.
I do believe I saw a couple 2-tire stops in there. I believe Jeffrey Brown in the 27 got himself 2 tires. It looks like Brian and Bobby Ship both came down for fuel only. So that's going to be interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. Johnny Miller going to inherit the lead. There you can see that Eagle screaming around turns 3 and 4 or 1 and 2. 1 and 2 as he's screaming down the back straightaway now in that bright orange number 6 truck. He's going to get himself a lap or 2 in the lead column, and we'll see where he cycles on through with these pit stops. Taking a quick look at timing and scoring, the top 8 still have yet to come down. Miller, McDonald, Henry, Ship, Brown, and Peters.
Blanc gets a little loose there, but he's going to get by and unlap himself from the number 6, or maybe he won't. As there you see he continues out there. I believe that was the truck that we saw on pit road during that particular run. But yeah, Scott McDonald running in second. Adam Henry in the yellow number 62. I know it's not sponsored by Zaxby's, Adam Henry's truck, but the color scheme of it always makes me hungry for Zaxby's. It's a good thing that we don't race until about 8:30 at night because by the time I'd be able to make a run out there, I don't know if Zaxby's is one of those open late kind of places. So that's usually the good news is I don't partake in it. You know, it's good to partake in that kind of stuff every now and then.
Yeah, that's a fact. And being on the road, I had to make the conscious decision to stop eating all of the cookout. Not to say that it's bad for you, but I was eating a little bit too much of it. So we had to switch over to some fruit cups and a couple of salads and some soups. We might have put on a couple of pounds since being on the road.
It's funny. I went out to vacation to Colorado and told someone I was from lived in North Carolina, and the first thing that they would say, "Oh, you guys got cookout." So it's I wouldn't even say nationwidely known, maybe even worldwide known. So we see a couple of trucks continuing to unlap themselves as Miller stays out on the racetrack and leads the way. Gets a few more laps under his belt. I think that was the 62 of Adam Henry that was spun in the grass there. As Scott McDonald's down pit road. Oh, now he's on pit road. So it looks like we won't see a yellow flag come out. But we see Bobby Ship coming down as we have reached the halfway point. So maybe these guys are trying to kind of short pit. And I mean, it said our race format, our stats from race notes for the night did say approximately 28 green flag laps. Now, we did have a laps under yellow early on. So if you get another yellow, do some of these guys kind of come in and top off or stay out and risk maybe going on 1 tank of fuel? Man, that's a lot to ask for these tires, though, if you're trying to do that.
Well, that's one of the things, though, is the 48 truck comes to a stop. Johnny Miller now the only truck. Just kidding. Here he is down pit road. He's going to jack up the right side tires. We'll see if he takes 2 or if he does, in fact, take 4. Looks like they're going to go around and jack up the left side there as well. Brent Roy in the 26 truck going to inherit the lead in a big way. You can see he's got a lot of drafting help in behind him. Bollier there in the 56 truck, the 99 of Steve Daddio. He's got himself a championship to defend in that 99 truck. He's going to take a peek down low now on Bollier to see if he can get around him for second.
Yeah, and right now it seems to be we could see a new point leader before this race is over, depending on how things go. Because John Peters, we've seen him move his way towards the, but we haven't seen him really running in the top podium. Almost just kidding there. He's running about fifth spot there in this front running order right here. So he is marching his way to the front slowly. He's running sixth actually. Kenny Kibbe is pretty far ahead of these guys right now. Kibbe's been able to stretch out the lead as Brent Roy and Steve Daddio battle for second, and Kibbe's another one that's right there in the thick of the point battle.
I do believe we got the points all sorted out, as it's just hard to believe that Daddio has had such a monster season in that 99 truck. And he did end up getting himself a win, but it wasn't after a 6-race stretch where he finished second each and every single time. So Daddio really gunning for that second NEP championship this season. He's got 3 more races after this one to do it. But before we even get there, 30 laps to go here at Michigan International Speedway. They've got at least one more spot. Oh, Reagan Parent up into the outside wall. That was a hard lick there for the 17 truck.
I feel like we see that almost every race. Regan decides to test his waters there out into the towards the safer barrier, and then usually keeps on trucking. So right now he's lost a few spots, but we'll see if he can recover from that and get back toward the front. We've seen him win this season already, so don't count him out just yet. Right now, Brent Roy's he's actually tucked behind Steve Addio the time as they continue their battle for second. Looks like they're going to catch a slower truck. I think that's Zane Farrell who got involved in a earlier mishap there that brought out the first yellow, and he's just kind of nursing this thing towards the checkered flag at this point, trying to have a decent points day in case anyone else falls out of the race. So right now, he's actually 10 laps in the rear. So tough break for Zane, but kind of just soldiering on right now in that 14 truck.
That's right. Wingnut Productions timing and scoring only shows 2 trucks currently out of the race, the 10 of Dale Glessner to the 3 of Brandon Newhouse. He didn't quite have the qualifying effort he was looking for in that 3 truck either. So he's down on pit road. You made mention Zane Farrell 10 laps down, Adam Henry 6 laps down, and Michael Hopkins 4 laps down in that 78 truck. All 21 other trucks, though, on the lead lap. And usually we would say that that still gives these 21 drivers an opportunity to win this race if you're still on the lead lap. But with 28 laps to go, there you see Kenny Kibbe out front. That's a tall order to get around for everybody else in this field. When Kenny Kibbe's up front, especially when there's a little bit of fuel strategy going on in this one, you can bet that 4 truck is going to be ready to challenge and defend that lead. He's got a little bit of a lead there as well. 1.2 seconds the gap on back to Daddio in the 99.
Yeah, but Kenny's got to stay on his toes still and kind of conserve and whatnot, because you never know when we could have a yellow flag. Some kind of altercation could happen, and we end up bunching that field back up, and you don't want to be in a situation where your tires are a little more worn than some of these other competitors, and then you end up spinning them on a restart. So, of course, if we get a yellow flag, I have a feeling, especially if we get it in like 5 to 10 laps from now, we're probably going to see feeding time at the zoo on pit road with everyone wanting 4 fresh tires, especially when they still all pretty much have 2 fresh sets still at their disposal. So yeah, there's there's still a lot to go, as we got 25 laps remaining when we cross the line next time by, and yeah, there's still a lot of time for things to kind of shake out and become determined.
And it's gonna come down to strategy for this one. We've seen drivers be able to come down pit road earlier, get those tires quick, and not take as much time on pit road to fill up the entire tank. They know that with a full tank of gas, they can get 28 laps, 29 laps or so. We've got 25 laps to go. So we may see some of these drivers, you mentioned it earlier, short pit, knowing that they can make it from here if they came down pit road. Plus, they'll be able to get those couple extra laps, feeling like Superman with those 4 fresh feel goods underneath these trucks. I'd be willing to bet the next couple of laps we're going to see at least one of these teams come down pit road and try it.
Yep, yeah, anything can happen here, and we're going to continue seeing how this all shakes out. They're closing in just a little bit on Kenny Kibbe now, as we see Regan Parent coming in. I don't know if this is just pit strategy or if it's after he smacked that wall, deciding to come in and change those at least the right sides here. That's kind of an interesting a move right here in the 17. Maybe he was scrubbing off some of that speed from hitting the wall, and he said, "Well, let's come in now and do what we can." It looks like they are jacking up the side of the car there or truck. My time to fill that jar as we see a three truck battle now for the runner up position. Steve Daddio, Brent Roy, and John Peters has joined the party. Said we haven't seen him in a podium position tonight. Well, that might change here shortly.
And you always love it when the drivers have their cell phones kind of duct taped up to the dashboard of the trucks. Reagan Parent heard me tell it, hey, these guys should come out in short pit. Maybe they'll get a couple laps. He came down pit road the next lap after. So if the 17 truck wins, I want a portion of the check.
I'm sure you will get that without even having to beg for it, Paul. We're all getting these big checks when we do NEP, I'm sure. I know I enjoy it every time I go out for the weekend then afterwards. But yeah, right now it's really getting interesting here as Regan Parent Ray with a fresher rubber against these front runners, and that's going to be interesting. Trying to look at timing and scoring right now. See if he's one lap down or if he scored 2 laps down. He's only 1 lap down. This could really work in his favor, even if we got a yellow flag, because get himself back on the lead lap is first truck a lap down currently. So we'll have to see how this all shakes out. He's just pulling right away. Yeah, it is only 1 lap that Regan is in the rears, and Brent Roy kind of shot there to the inside. That's not the first time we've seen that happen tonight, but it seems to work in his favor as he's pulling under Stephen Daddio to try to take second.
And this is exactly what that four truck Kenny Kibbe wants to see. He's got 3 strong trucks gunning for that lead in behind him, but they're all trying to battle it out for that second position. Steve Daddio in the 99 holding on to second. He's got John Peters in the 09 truck right behind him. Brent Roy holding on to fourth, and keep in mind we still do have that one more pit stop at least here in the closing 20 laps as they cross the stripe here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway.
Yep. We got a lot of laps still to settle this. 20 to go as John Peters has worked his way into third now. Brent Roy was not able to successfully take that second spot, and John Peters capitalized. And meanwhile, we got Joey Dwyer coming down the road in the number 73. Going to try some strategy here. Arsal, I believe that is. Yep, in the 12, making his next pit stop. And yeah, we're going to see if anyone else decides to pit a little earlier. It seems like the front runners are waiting a little bit to make their pit stops, and a lot to be settled still.
And you can see Kenny Kibbe has some clean racetrack. He did let that lap truck go on by. They did have fresher tires, so he didn't want to really put up too much of a battle there. He's got a clean racetrack in front of him, clean racetrack in behind him there as well, because those 3 trucks are still bumper to bumper to bumper for second, third, and fourth, as we've got 19 laps to go.
19 to go, and that's just at least 19 more opportunities for things to happen. So right now, Kenny Kibbe has checked out more than a second lead. Out front, we see a few more trucks. Dan Winter was earlier in the top 5. He's off pit road now to finish his service. And we see a couple more trucks. Someone needs to hold that camera still. Those trucks thundering by continue to rattle that camera. But that kind of shows how awesome seeing these trucks go by. The rest get their service on pit road.
One of the bigger racetracks we visit here in the NEP series. It's always fun to see a bunch of short track drivers, a bunch of short track tempers get kind of released on these big 2-mile cookie cutter tracks, because this is a quick racetrack. There's a lot of different strategy that gets into with the draft and the fuel mileage, this, that, and the other thing. Kenny Kibbe doing a great job kind of kind of balancing all that stuff out here, and you can see that gap is starting to shrink just a little bit now. 1.1 seconds, the gap on back to second. John Peters, Steve Daddio there as well. It looks like Brent Roy came down pit road, so Jeff Bradway. No, Brent Roy did not come down pit road. Yes, he did. There he is. Timing and scoring got ahead of me there. We'll blame the Wingnut for that one. Wingnut Productions on board with the timing and scoring, but he's going to give up that top 3 position for those 4 fresh feel goods and a little bit of Sunoco race fuel. As you can see, John Peters now in the 09 truck. He's going to come down pit road here as well. Now, at this point, when you've got at least a third of the drivers come down pit road, everybody else is kind of hoping for a quick caution. At this point, you could trap a couple of guys, maybe a lap down, give your crew a little bit more time down on pit road to get the tires on, make sure the lug nuts are on and tight, and make sure they're straight, make sure everything is ready to rock and or roll. And you can see it looks like we're going to jack up the left side of the 09 truck there as well. So 4 tires for John Peters.
Yeah, but as long as Kenny Kibbe continues to stay out, that's a lot of trucks that are a lap down. So now he comes down, though. It looks like Brent Roy stayed out. Some of these other competitors, they're going to have their work cut out for them to try to catch Kenny Kibbe. Maybe some strategy will come in here to maybe come from behind and claim the victory. You know, Paul, I just read on social media not too long ago as that I think it's 13 years, maybe to the day, or maybe as of yesterday, that the legendary Pete Weber did his. Who do you think? What has it go? Do you think you are? I am in the bowling deal. So maybe someone will kind of reenact that if they come from behind. And but right now we ride with some of these trucks that are still out there. Eric Kern, Bobby Ship doing their thing right now, trying to kind of conserve their tires and get some track position here and do what they can in these last 50 laps.
Eric Kern holding on to the lead. He's going to stay out for a couple of more laps, 22 laps since he's been down. Bobby Schiff currently in second, right in behind him. He came down 19 laps ago, and Reagan Perrin in third right now in that 17 truck. He actually came down 10 laps ago as he crosses the stripes. So that 17 truck might have won the race on pit road there. We'll see if this thing stays green for the final 14 laps.
Yep, right now it's clean and green, and we had that early yellow early on. I think it was only about 5 laps in, maybe even less. But right now they're still clean and green here. I think we saw a mishap there during flag pits where Adam Henry ended up in the grass, but it didn't too far off the track that it didn't warrant a yellow to come out. So right now Eric Kern leading some laps. I think these are his first led laps in his NEP career. And now Bobby Ship's going to take his turn up front. And these guys might be hoping for a yellow flag so that then they can have some track position here. Although it does look like, even though they have not pitted, I think we still have 21 trucks on the lead lap. So some of these lead lap trucks are going to be catching these guys pretty quickly. But right now, Bobby Ship, actually, I think we did see him come in. So these guys are a little bit off sequence compared to some of the leaders. So a lot going on here to try to figure out as the laps continue to wind down.
And these two guys are about 5.5 seconds in front of third. They're 8.5 seconds or so in front of fourth and fifth. But those guys are definitely coming in a hurry. They might be able to, just kind of doing the math real quick here. Bobby Ship came down 21 laps to go. There's 12 laps to go. Puts you 29. I mean, it gets you 3 to go if you were to go full bore. If you were to back way out of the throttle, you might be able to make it without coming down pit road and get yourself a solid top 10 finish. But I think realistically, these guys are kind of holding on for a caution, potentially, just to kind of throw a little hammer into the everybody else's toolbox, because that would definitely shake things up in a big way. Because keep in mind, we still have that third set of tires down on pit road.
Yeah, definitely would mix things up in a big way. And yeah, I have a feeling if we get inside 10 laps to go, we might see some drivers, or all of them, still coming in for pits But right now, Kenny Kibbe right on the tail of Brent Roy here, and that could ultimately become the battle for the lead. I think Regan Parent's in front of them, if I remember correctly. But again, that's the whole pit strategy thing. Regan Parent we saw pit super early, and partly because he had some issues there, maybe with scraping that outside wall. But he's really recovered right now, and these guys are going to have to catch Reggie to get that victory now.
That's two of the best drafters we've got here in the NEP series with Brent Roy and Kenny Kibbe, and they're going to be pulling up to the back bumper of that number 17 truck in a big way. Those three drivers, they'll have enough time, I think, to catch the front two, the front one, as it were. Bobby Ship, now the lone soldier up front that stayed out as the other truck came down pit road to top off that fuel tank, get himself four or maybe even two tires here just to kind of get through the final closing laps in this one. But Bobby Ship, he's been out there for 24 laps on that tank of fuel. He can definitely go at least 4, maybe 5 laps. Do you back it up at this point and try to get a top 10 on fuel mileage, or do you just keep hammer down and hope for a caution?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one. I think that they're going to have to stay out at this point and see what they can do. Um, the '04 Bobby Ship's doing what he needs to do right now, but Kenny Kibbe and Brent Roy, who have gotten around Reggie Parent now, and we missed that there, but they're closing fast on that '04 truck. And this, once again, could become Kenny Kibbe's race to lose, but Brent Roy is sticking right there with him in the 26 truck.
Doing everything they need to try and get up to the lead. They know they've got a good shot at it. They feel like that '04 truck's going to have to come down pit road. I don't even think they'll have to worry about that much, because that gap they had from Bobby Ship on back to Brent Roy and Kenny Kibbe, it was about 8 seconds just a few laps ago. And according to timing and scoring, it's down to, well, less than a second. Kenny Kibbe starting to catch the draft on that '04 truck. It's just a matter of time now before those two trucks catch the leader and inherit the lead. We saw, well, we almost saw how quickly they were able to grab the 17 and put him in behind and drive on away. You can almost see that 17 truck is gone from that shot. These two guys are working very, very well together.
Yes, very well together, and that's could be the what decides it, as we do see the lead change now. Kenny Kibbe getting to the front with less than 10 laps to go, 6 to go next time by, to be exact. Bobby Ship going to just try to keep holding on, though, if he decides to stay out, though, and maybe salvage a top 10 finish, which would be a great accomplishment for Bobby Ship. I know he's struggled a bit this year, so yeah, we'll see how this continues to keep shaking out.
There he comes. He's going to come down. He's going to bring that '04 truck down pit road on a fumes. And there you can see riding on board with Brent Roy, steady as at the wheel there. He's going to try and catch back up to that back bumper of Kenny Kibbe as they head on down to 3 and 4. At this point, you kind of almost know exactly what the other drivers got, because he just made up 8 seconds on the leader. And it almost looks like that 4 truck is kind of driving away just a little bit. But is he? 5 laps to go here at the stripe. Brent Roy is one of those drivers that'll make a calculated decision here in the closing laps. You see him kind of backing up just a little bit. I think he's going to try and catch this draft just a little bit and see what he can do with it. How about a quick time in the closing laps of 39.584 for Johnny Miller in that bright orange 6 truck, ripping around here like a bald eagle.
Definitely ripping around, pulling his best Garrett Mitchell, aka Cletus McFarland impression, right? But right now we see Brent Roy trying to do all he can to stay with Kenny Kibbe, but he might be losing out here as the laps wind down. We're down to 4 laps remaining now as Kenny Kibbe continues to stretch it in his home race, doing what he really hopes to do. So continuing to do his thing. Kenny Kibbe might come out here with the win, as there you see he's lapping Bobby Ship already as Bobby comes back out of the pits. So not going to be the finish that Bobby hoped he'd have, but oh well, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, just look at the timing and scoring. It looks like the '04 truck just came down for a splash of fuel, so not even really able to put up much of an effort or much of a fight on those older tires. But you can see down the nose of the NSR #4 truck, he's got a couple of lap trucks up in front of him. I don't think they're going to hold him up too much. You can see it's a wide open back straightaway for that 4 truck. Jeffrey Brown going to dip all the way down to the bottom side of the racetrack and get himself out of Dodge's way, or out of harm's way. That 4 truck going to move on on the high side.
Yep, and then there we see it's going to be Kenny Kibbe's race to lose here. There's still a chance though we could have a late yellow because we do only have we're going to cross the line now over 2 laps to go. I think he's just going to if he gets through this next lap or so, it's going to be Kenny's race to lose. And right now he's just doing his thing in that #4, and it's been nearly flawless most of this race.
Indeed, it has. Popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go. Less than that as we get back to the back straightaway. And I almost thought Brent Roy in that 26 truck was going to be saving just a little bit. As you can see the Johnny Miller machine entering the picture. He's going to get down and around with those fresher tires. He's going to get himself one of those laps back the hard way. But it looks like that was it for the tires. They are cooked on that 2-6 truck. Kenny Kibbe doing everything he needs to hold on to this one. White flag, a white rag. Final lap here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway.
Kenny Kibbe only has a few more corners to accomplish this one, and it looks like he's going to be able to just be smooth in that #4 and bring home a win potentially here for his race team. 4 wide weaponry. I keep getting those words. Say that 3 times fast. Or maybe you'll say
it 1 time fast.
Maybe you'll say it 4 times fast, though, because that #4 truck is getting ready to come through these final corners.
Into 3 and 4 for the final time. Checkered flag from Bubbles up in the flag stand. Kenny Kibbe going to get himself another check in the W column here in the NEP Super Truck Series. Brent Roy and Steve Daddio going to finish up in the top 3. How many podiums is that for Steve Daddio this season? It's got to be like 87, I feel like.
Yeah, I've lost count. It feels like that, though, doesn't it?
Really does. Having a solid season in that 99 truck. And we're going to talk to those top 3 drivers here momentarily. John Peters there going to finish in 4th. Reagan Parent going to come home in 5th. How about Evan Bollier coming home 6th? Jeffrey Bradway, Dan Winter, Joey Dwyron, and Austin Belke going to round out the top 10. All in all, solid race here at the virtual Michigan International Speedway.
Definitely solid. A great race there. Only 1 yellow earlier in the night. Brent Roy comes home 2nd, just a position short there. Steve Daddio, like you said, another podium run. John Peters and Reggie Parent rounding out the top 5. Pole sitter Evan Bollier finishes 6th. Jeffrey Bradway, Dan Winter, Joey Dwyron, and Austin Belke rounding out the top 10.
And we're going to burn them down on the front straightaway. And I believe you have, in fact, caught up with tonight's winner, that #4 truck at Kenny Kibbe.
Kenny, great run today. That truck looked almost flawless. What did you have to do there throughout those 66 laps to make sure you could get that victory?
Yeah, so, I mean, well, I'm multitasking here. Yeah, it was kind of just let the race kind of come to us in a way. I mean, I knew that first run, things were going to be really congested, and but I thought that if we had some green flag pit stops, that the field was going to gradually spread out. And it's really tempting here also to go wide open all the way around here every lap, and you can get away with it for a while. But I think there was a lot of if you could lift a little bit but stay with the draft, it really helped you keep the tires underneath you for the long run. And so yeah, I just tried to maintain track position best I could, take advantage of others at times, if they lost momentum, things like that, and then just not make mistakes, stay smooth. And we had a really good pit sequence that first time around, which really helped us kind of pull away from most of the pack. And then it was just kind of, manage the last pit stop, pit when we needed to, and then just keep things smooth and clean. And yeah, that was pretty textbook.
Yeah, and of course, how does it feel to win with in your home state, and then also the race that 4 wide weaponry sponsors?
Yeah, this was really cool because with this being my home track and with Sal, the boss at Forward Weaponry, sponsoring this race intentionally because of us two Michiganders on his team, that was really cool of him to do that. And for us to come away with the win is extra special. I mean, I've won one official race at this track, but I've never won a league race here, so that's super cool to be able to get that done.
All right, who else helps you get to and from the short trip to Victory Lane tonight?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody at NEP for coming together every week and running these races. The guys at Four Wide Weaponry, again, amazing teammates every single week. It's a lot of fun racing with them, and we all had pretty solid runs tonight. You guys at VidaneTV for the broadcasts every single week. Again, thanking Sal and Four Wide Weaponry for the sponsorship tonight. And thanks to the field for just having a good, clean race tonight.
All right, that's your winner, Kenny Kibbe. And Paul, did you hear that? He said Michiganders. We were debating the pronunciation of that, but I believe you're down further on pit road with second place.
Indeed, I am, Brent. We saw that the Tundra Kid was out for blood here tonight, looking real strong towards the end. We saw you get hooked up with that 4 truck. Got rid of that 8-second lead that the 04 was able to get later on in that one, but it almost seems like that 26 fell off a little bit. What else did you need?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I didn't hit practice Tuesday night, and this place is very interesting to drive. You got to save the tires. You got to use a draft. I'm not super great at doing both of those, kind of one or the other. But I can't wait to hear my teammates give me a bunch of flack because I told them earlier today that I was going to suck here tonight, and they're like, "Congrats, you're going to finish in the top 3 or win or something." So that'll be great. But no, just kind of played some pit strategy to try to get back to the front. We had a phenomenal pit stop. Got on pit road and off pit road really well, and was able to get the lead away from Kenny after the second round of pit stops, and the 2 laps or so on tires, and he was a little bit better at saving the tires than I was. Really played in halfway through that run, and we caught somebody, and he used somebody as a pick. I wasn't really going to force the issue with like 10 to go or something, and then wreck us both out of a good finish. So, congrats to him. It's always fun when you win your home race. We were able to do that last year at Montreal, so it's always a nice feeling to be able to do that. So congrats to those guys. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a lot of fun.
Put on a heck of a show here this evening. Only had that one quick caution earlier on in this one. We'll give you an opportunity to thank anybody else that's out there watching. Who gets you to and from the virtual racetrack?
Yeah, absolutely. The one caution of that, it was rest green from there, so it played interesting strategy from there. But obviously, you guys at Vidane bringing home the broadcast. Everybody at home, my parents, my wife, my sister always tunes in and make sure that I share the link to watch it and such. And big thanks to all my 229 Autosport teammates who finished second, fourth, sixth, eighth. We're missing John Miller down there in 16th, tried to play the strategy game with fuel mileage, and it just didn't pan out for him, unfortunately. But we're missing Jason Ricker here tonight, but Real World called him away. So we miss him, but we'll get him. I don't know. Where are we heading next week? Paul, do you know?
That's a good question. I know we got 3 races left. I just don't know which 3 they are.
Fair enough. But wherever it is, we'll go there and try to do what we always do and be up front at the end. And I mean, that's all you can do at the end of the day.
The Tundra Kid and the 26 Flow Racing Tundra with another podium on the season. And last but not least, Aaron, I do believe we heard him chatting on the team radio earlier on. We'll see if we can get caught up with that 3rd place finisher.
Yes, Steve Daddio, yet another podium finish. How about it tonight?
Man, I don't know. I led a couple laps at the beginning there. It felt pretty good. I don't know. I was thinking maybe it'd be more of a drafting track. This place is great. I mean, if you're a driver's driver, this is the place to be. You got options everywhere, and it really doesn't matter what your car's doing. You can find grip and run around this place. I kind of blew it on the pit stop on the last one there. I went right through my stall. Even I braked early trying to get there, and I went right through it. And I'm still kind of sour about it. But how mad could you be? about a P3 finish in the NEP series here. It was a great race. I think we all had a lot of fun. It was a good mix up. But, the drivers got to show what they could do. Maybe not exciting on the broadcast, but I had fun. This was a blast. This is the way it should be. It was in the driver's hands, and unfortunately, I just kind of choked on the pit stop there.
Yeah, and this thing's going to come down to the wire too. And with the points race coming down, and man, you finished only one spot ahead of John Peters in the final. And then Kenny took the win. You guys are going to be. It's going to be battle to the end, isn't it? Here these last few weeks, I'm sure you're looking forward to it.
Honestly, I wouldn't have it any other way. I as much as I want to win this thing, Kenny is so strong and John is so strong. Like, why wouldn't you want it to come down to a good finish? Let's let drivers let them settle it. And I want to be a part of it, and I want to battle, and I want to fight. It's hard, because I got my teammate outrunning me right now, but we had a good, strong showing in the beginning of the year, and he was kind of nowhere to be found, and I was showing up. It's kind of one of those things, you can't win it in the beginning, but you can certainly lose it at the end. But we're still here, and this ain't over, and I'm looking forward to the next few tracks, and I'm looking forward to the fight. This is going to be fun. That's why we show up for Thursday nights.
All right, we'll give you one more chance to thank those who got you here tonight.
Thank my competitors first. Honestly, I feel like I never thank them for showing up every weekend and making this as fun as it is, and as challenging as it is. The Kibby, Roy Peters, Parent, Evan. I wish I could say his last name. Someday I'll figure that out. But those guys, it's all of them. It's so cool to just be here and run it out and have you guys broadcast it. So Daddy's Auto Parts, we'll get them as the title sponsor for the Kansas race. Thanks, Dad, and my mom for watching. I know she's watching out there. Reverie Brewing, please, if you're up in Newtown, go check them out. It's up there Sunday. It's such a cool spot. They've done such a great job with that brewery, and the beers are fantastic. YRD, again, Brendan, thank you for the paint. I mean, I think it's like I said, it's the coolest looking truck on the track, and every paint that I've ever got is so cool. So always looking awesome. My teammates for wide, Austin, Kenny, Sal, Kenny, congrats on the win. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for hanging out. You guys up in the booth, always a good time when I watch it. As I said previously, when I watch this afterwards, and then the guys for throwing this on, Zane and Corey and Brendan, we wouldn't be here without y'all. So appreciate it. Thank you guys up in the booth. Third place is what it is, but maybe we get a couple more wins here at the end of the season, maybe come out on top. We'll see what happens.
There it is, rounding out the podium, Steve Daddio. And Paul, back to you to wrap things up.
Yeah, just taking a quick look. RSal TV, Ryan Salvatore put together this cool little calculator for us to kind of calculate the points. And Aaron, the points are tight. John Peters still on top. He's got a 1-point lead over Steve Daddio, a 9-point lead over third place Kenny Kibbe. With 3 races to go, you are not going to want to miss a single lap of the action. There's still action going on outside this production trailer. I'm going to go check out some dirt racing, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We're right back here next Thursday night. 3 races to go here in NEP Season 6. Going to be an absolute doozy. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in here tonight. Hit us up on all the socials. Be sure to give us the love, the likes, the subscribes, the shares, all that good stuff. Let your friends and family know you watched yourself a little bit of iRacing action here on Thursday night. We'll catch you on the flip side, and when we do, we are going to be doing it live.